Hello, and welcome to this tutorial where I'm going to go over a layout design for building a shell for your portfolio pages. And I typically recommend a landscape format for portfolio page layout. It allows you to fit a lot of your images on there and get them in there at a nice size, because that's what's really showing off here is your work. And so it allows for that kind of flexibility. And if you've seen my tutorials on resume shells and resume page building, then this is going to be a little very similar to that. If not, well, then welcome aboard. So our shell is that we want to kind of put everything in and get our layouts figured out first, and then we'll come back in and fill in the details, but you're trying to account for your layout. So we'll go ahead and turn everything on first here. And we want to keep a unity with the rest of our identity. So you're going to have a unity with your resume, your business card, same colors, same graphics, logos, fonts, all that kind of good stuff. So what we have here is we have a shell, and in the shell itself, we have everything kind of put in, and we can fill things out later as this develops even further. So similar to the resume, we want to have a nice large negative space area so that we can drop in multiple images, or get our images as big as we can get them, so that they can appreciate your work and see your work. The header. I have this header set up as an Illustrator file, so I can manipulate these graphics like this, but you could do this in InDesign easily as well. But the point being is, or at least the point I'm going with this is that I have this set up to a word that, for my shell, to a word that is a long word, has lots of characters in it. And this is usually a common mistake that I see when students are laying out their work, and that is they are laying out their shells for their designs, either resume or portfolio pages like this, is that they want to set it to a small word like logos. And what winds up happening is if you typeset it to a small word, then when you get to a big word, your layout's going to have to shift to hold the big word, or worse, you have to scale it down in point size for it to fit. And if you typeset it to the larger word, then the small words will fit in easily. And if anything, give you more negative space that you could manipulate some more images in there. So always typeset it to the larger word, the header. So in this case, a header works just like it does on a resume, with the exception of this is telling the viewer what are they looking at on this page. Remember, you spend a lot of time putting your portfolios and stuff together, and so it makes sense to you, but that's not who it's got to make sense to. It's got to make sense to the person that you're asking to look at this. And so in this particular instance, we're looking at layout designs. And so that's why you got to put that kind of the header in there. And as a header, it should probably be up at the top. And the layout that you're looking at here, just like the resumes, is not, written in stone. They don't have to all look like this, or then everyone's portfolios would look the same. But just to kind of give you a general idea, you need a header on there. We need, of course, our logo so that they know who we're looking at here, and the contact information, so that they know who we're looking at here. We might build some unity into this since we're dealing with rounded corners, and we're going to put this as our Pantone color. And we're going to increase that point size so that they can see it. And then we'll go ahead and turn this fill off so that you can see it a little bit better. And so, again, we'll just repeat that here. Whoops. Set that to none. X. And set it to round corner. All right, so now when I'm dropping images in, it'll have that same kind of unity of rounded corners and stuff like that we're using elsewhere in the designs. So something to consider. And then finally, we have a description or a solution, challenge, whatever you want to call this. But there's got to be something on here that tells them a little more of what this is. And so just like the resume, we want to type that in. and it just typeset it so that their attention is drawn to it and that they know what it is that they're looking at. And that's what we're going to use this for, is to describe a little bit more of the piece. And so we're going to have another tutorial that I go into more detail of how you write these kind of things and why you should write them this way. But essentially, this is our shell, and it's ready for us to start putting things together. And then the last thing I would leave it on is that once I've got my layout set up, ideally I would want this on a master page. So we'll go ahead and select everything. I'm going to cut it out. And as you know, from our master pages, we can duplicate master pages. And we're going to go ahead and turn our flow off on all these, the shuffles, so that I don't have to worry about anything like that. And so then when I drag it in there, you know, it can be, you know, whatever page I want it to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to my master page here, and I'm going to paste this in place. So now it shows up on my master page over here. And so now when I go into my document, it'll show up, and every time I duplicate that master page, and we'll back out a little so you guys can see a little bit better. But now every time I duplicate a master page, nothing's going to shift. And that's going to become really important too as you start adding more pages to your portfolio, is that you don't want things to shift. You don't want the header to shift. You don't want the design to shift, your logo to shift. The only thing that should do any kind of shifting is your images, because they may change in layout. They may be horizontal or whatever, smaller boxes, whatever it's going to be. And then I usually typically lock everything so whatever I don't want to move won't move. And then when I need to edit something, like if I got to edit my documents here, I can unlock that layer, but then I can click on the page and I can go to override master page items, and now I can edit it, but things that I don't want to edit are locked. So I can lock those things. So one last point is that, similar to the resume, or if you haven't read the resume, is that we're going to increase this guy. He's like 12 points, and so that's really fine. Your body copy shouldn't be more than 10 points. If it's PDF, they can zoom in if they need to read it, but 10 points is a fairly standard size. So you can offset it with a subhead and make it a couple of points bigger. So it's 12 in this case, and that allows them to actually notice it. And then it's not too big and taking up too much space or taking space away from your images. So that's going to wrap it up for the shell, and we'll come back in a little bit and show you how we start filling in challenges and solutions, what those are, their importance, and what you're going to use them for as you start filling everything in.